We've noticed in the past few years we've had a few leaks here and there, kind of all around, and we've called Twin Cities and had them come over, and they've been really good at patching it, but they said don't know how much longer we can keep this up, because the roof is 30 years old. It's about 10, 15 years past its life expectancy, and so we can be grateful for that, but it's time to start investing in a new spot here. So just to give you an idea of the process that we went through, we had 5 roofing companies that we contacted, 4 submitted bids, and we selected Twin City Roofing as the winner of the bid. They were consistently the lowest bid for both styles of roofs that we're looking at. We've had a long relationship. They're the ones who put on the roof 30 years ago that we're going to be replacing now. And they've been really good at coming and fixing leaks and that sort of thing right when we call them. They're a fully local company, and they require no down payment. So basically, we just need to tell them once we approve things here in a couple weeks, we just need to tell them, hey, we're good to go, and they'll secure a spot in line. They'll order materials already. They have a big warehouse they keep them in. And so when the time comes in the summertime, when we need them to do it, they'll just get rolling on it. So that's who we've selected to do it. The roof that's on there now is a 30 mil ballasted roof. Now, when I say a ballasted roof, it's just basically a big tarp. Well, it's more than a tarp, but it's a big a sheet that's weighed down by rocks. There's no adhesive or anything holding it down. It's the weight of the rocks that's doing it, and that's the way. And then they seal the edges and all that kind of stuff. They have there's a new style of adhered roof now they're talking about, which is basically the same thing, except they take this and they adhere it. They put a deck down and they adhere it to the deck, and then all the seams, and then they don't need the rock on top. And there's advantages that way, but it is a more expensive roof system. Okay, and so the new stuff that we're putting on, the old stuff is 30 mil in thickness. The new stuff is 60 mil, regardless of the style. So it's twice as thick as what's on there now, which will go through more durability and that sort of thing. A ballasted roof, the one with the rock, is good for places where you don't have hardly any foot traffic. People don't have to go on the roof for any reason. The rock can stay on there. The thing, if you're walking over the rock all the time, there's more chance that you'll puncture holes in the roof. And so right now our roof is ballasted, and so we have like the air conditioners over here, we have the air handling system back there, and so every time they go up there at least twice a year to do maintenance on those sorts of things, and they're traipsing over generally the same path all the time. And so that is probably a big source of why we're having leaks wherever we are having them. Okay, so what we propose is that on the roofs, on the gym and the fellowship hall, there's really nothing that needs hardly ever to be maintained. And so on those roofs, we would put a ballasted roof, because like I said, it is a little less expensive to do it that way. On the mezzanine in the south, where we have our air handling system and the air conditioners and things where we're having more maintenance going on, we would like to do an adhered roof, which is a little more expensive. But like I said, Twin Cities, they went back a couple of different times, and they gave us some different figures. And really, our total bid cost now from them is only about $10,000, $15,000 more than the original bid that they gave us with ballasted roof over the whole place. So they've really adjusted some of those are some costs and some things that they were able to bring down over a span of time since we first talked to them. Another thing is there's some vents that we're going to be eliminating along this side that we don't need anymore, so they have to do less like cutting around and that sort of thing. So anyway, they were able to bring some costs down. So the total bid cost for doing the gym, the mezzanine, The Low South and the Fellowship Hall comes to $195,900. And then we are looking at a roughly 15% overage cost to kind of absorb some incidentals that might happen. So with the leaks that have happened over the years, there may be some rotted buffalo. It's basically kind of buffalo board, if you know what that is. That's under the roof right now. Water gets in there, it swells and kind of deteriorates the material in that. So they would replace anything that needs to be replaced there. And but that's an extra cost. That's over and above. It's something that they can't see now. They don't know what kind of condition that stuff is in. So that would be an overage. Some other things. If they would need us to disconnect like the air conditioners so that they can get moved out of the way to put stuff underneath them, they generally have ways. They've been around for like 100 years, so they know a lot of tricks and things that they wouldn't necessarily have to disconnect everything. But if we need to do that, that sort of cost is ours to absorb. And then disposal too. So the disposal of the roof and that was not included in their bid, and frankly, it wasn't in any of the bids that I saw. So anyway, so for a total cost, we're looking at around $225,000. Okay. How do we pay for that? Well, we do have a couple of options. The first thing, of course, is try and raise the money outside of funds that we already have. So what that looks like, not quite sure yet, but basically, hey, we need a new roof. Body, let's see if we can gather some funds, But what kid would not want part of the roof as their Christmas present, give their Christmas present towards it. Not just some things where maybe we can go above and beyond what we normally give and specifically to a project like this. So that's one thing. Second thing is we do have some building fund monies. We don't have a huge amount. I did get updated amounts, and so what's on your page is not correct. What we have sitting in the building fund right now is just shy or just north of $17,000 in there. So we have that $17,000 available. Our general fund monies sits at about $203,000. And so we're thinking that we would pull roughly $100,000 in there to give us a good start. Now, the general fund is kind of a pad for us. So we have the general fund, but when we budget every year, we budget off of what we expect giving will be for that year. Okay, so really money is still coming in, but this is kind of a slush, because sometimes giving is down, and so we have to pull from the general. Sometimes giving is up, and we don't have money goes back into the general. So, but we figure we could probably pull $100,000 from the general fund, and we should be sitting okay. And then the last, something else I'd like to mention, our CDs. So we have $188,000. We had it between 3 CDs. So we took those in September, we consolidated them to one, and then we put them in a 4-month CD that is generating 4.5%. And so that will come due in January. If we stick it in again, if it's still at 4.5%, stick it in again for another 4 months, that would come due in May then, end of April, beginning of May. And so by doing that, we would generate an extra $4,000 worth of interest that we can put towards this. So there's another $4,000 that we can put towards the roof. And then some of our now, that $188,000, that's when you go over, if you look at like the breakdown in the annual business meeting thing, that comprises part of our all of our funds, like the building fund, all the other funds that we have there. Some of it is the general fund, but. So that's just part of of like where all of our money is wrapped up. We have a checking account, we have a savings account, and then we have the CDs. Okay, that comprises all the monies that we have available. And then all of our funds come out of those three pieces. I'm sure I'm making that way more confusing than it needs to be, but if you have questions on that, you can surely talk to me about that. And so after we do our fundraising, after we use the building funds, after we use our general fund money, after we use the CD interest money, if there is anything left over come about April, May, any balance that would be remaining that we would need to have on hand, we would secure a loan through, we go through Bavara Bank, and so we would secure a loan for the remainder of the balance that way. So our timeline we're looking at to have this done is probably June of next year, June of 2025. And right now, Rich said as soon as we give him the go-ahead, he'll secure us a spot, and it should get done sometime next summer anyway. Okay? Does anybody have any questions thus far? Sorry, I'm going to have you. This is just for our live stream here.
So you say payment is due then when the project is done?
Correct.
And we'd like to see this money up front, prior to the start of the project or before the okay of doing the project?
Prior to the start of the project. So if we would give the okay, we're looking at a meeting in 2 weeks to actually vote on it because according to the Constitution, we need to have a church vote, a congregational vote for anything that's more than 2% of the annual budget, which of course this is. So to make that kind of expenditure, we have to have a congregational vote that we'd all agree that we're all on the hook for what this is going forward. Okay, and that vote has to have, we have to have a quorum of 20% of eligible, how is it? I wrote down the verbiage just so I was right. Eligible, active resident members, okay? So people who are right now actively participating in our congregation who have gone through membership. Does that make sense? Okay. Thanks. Are there any other questions? The question was, do we know what that number is? I'm assuming for a quorum. Is that what you're saying? I have, Rod is checking on those numbers right now, and I'll have them in a couple of days, probably. Any other questions? Okay. That is our plan. The deacons have been working on this with the help of Darren. Darren's done a lot of the legwork and contacting the roofers, the different roofing companies, and getting them here and talking to them, passing along information and telling me when he's meeting with people so that I can be around if I can and that. So we've really tried to do a thorough job of finding what the best policy is here for this. So yeah, so thank you, Darren, for that, for sure. And like I said, if you have any other questions that come up in the next couple of weeks, we are scheduled to hold our vote on the 24th, I believe, so 2 weeks from today. It'll be a short meeting again right after church. We'll make sure that we have a quorum and then vote, yay, nay for expending the monies to fix our roof. And yes, Matt. That's a great question. My guess would be that the question was, what happens if we don't get a quorum or the vote doesn't go the way to expend the monies? Then we'll have a leaky roof for a little bit, and we'll try and figure out a plan B. There's possibilities of maybe doing parts of the roof, but all of these parts that we're replacing right now are have leaks in them that we've had to address over the last few years. Another problem is then that the price goes up, because just by having a company come with all their gear set up to do part of the roof and then have to go away and then come back and do that whole process over again, it adds cost to the project. So it would increase a good amount. Plus, you never know, commodities and the ups and downs of the different prices of the materials and that. So, which is why we're trying to get it done by the end of November, get the vote, because generally in December that's when price increases happen, and so we're trying to make sure that we have our spot, and so that Rich can get the stuff ordered now. So,
I was just wondering if there are any other major projects in the pipeline, possibly. I think I've heard that, like redoing the parking lot might be looked into or something like that. Or I was wondering if there's any other major projects beside this that might possibly be in the pipeline too.
Sure. Right now, this is the major one, because it deals with property on the inside. The parking lot, yes, is in rough shape. I was really surprised with the patching that we did, how well the patching is actually holding up. And so, we're kind of fighting the fires that we need to first. Like I said, definitely making sure that the building is secure, from the outside elements is our number one deal. And as we go forward, you finish off a project, there's always going to be something down the pipe next, but we're kind of looking at these big ones, just kind of one step at a time. Like I said, people can still drive on the parking lot. I think that'll still, there's some soft spots here and there, but for the most part, people can still get around on that just fine. So, yes, ma'am.
So the dark part, the chocolate part of the roof, does it need any attention to?
There is nothing at this point, at this moment, that needs to be addressed. So I'm sure, I don't even know, we weren't even able to find exactly when those roofs were put on, how old they are, or whatever, but those are certainly parts of the roof that we're not having problems with at the moment. So our plan is to leave those for another time. Any other questions? All right. Well, I sure thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking around, and we'll meet again here in about 2 weeks, and we'll do this again. So, meeting adjourned.